Okay, shall we start? Okay. So we were discussing which term? Which term? That's the name of the term. Forget the name of the argument. What's the name of the term? Answer. Answer point, right? Answer point. So I called switch off this thing. What that means is will be off. This is very much. I'll be like switch on and maybe heating at the lower right. So now, you know isopod. If I ask you what is isopod? What is isopod? Different combination of input that yield the same level of out. Right. So then we said it is always like generally convex to the origin because why it is convex to the origin? Because greater than capital R, imperfect substituents, right? Convex to the origin because greater than capital R, imperfect substituents. Then we learned the slope of the isopoint. What is the name? Slope of the isopoint? Marginal. Continuity is read by the marginal rate of technical substitution. So that is the slope of the isopoint. Then, even though we say the shape of the isopoint should be downward sloping, it's not the case for all these. So the shape of the isopoint can be different based on the products, based on the nature of the product. At first, if the two products are perfectly substituted, I told you before also, I am the human and I have my version of robot, which like we choose the same. So that's a perfect substitute. So you can either attend the robot's class or my class. Perfectly substitute. If that's the case, what is the shape of the curve? What is the shape? Now you have lab and capital. Both are perfectly substituted. Now this is lab and capital. Both are perfectly substituted. Either you can use lab or the capital. It doesn't matter. Perfect substitute. If that's the case, we say the shape of the isopoint is a downward sloping straight line. But either you can have capital or lab. So here, if you decide to be here, that means you are deciding only to use lab, not the capital. If you decide to be here, you are using only capital. Zero lab. Understood? So it is allowed. It is allowed if they are perfect substitute. You can either be at a corner, but if they are imperfect substitute, There is no common solution, right? You cannot go with the common. Both of them are needed. Like they are complementary in nature, but you can kind of imperfectly substitute each other. Understood? So here, the shape of the isocon for a perfectly substitutable input is this. Or you can change the ratios 4 to 4, like this. But it's a straight line. Then, how about the shape of the isocon for perfect complementary group? Can you give me example for perfect complementary groups? Perfect complementary group. Can you give example for perfect complementary groups? Taken as one big one, may consume and back. Example. Perfect complementary. DVD player, DVD, right? Yes. Otherwise, you cannot consume. That is the consumer's perspective. Now we are talking about producers. How about producers? For the producers, what are perfect complements? It should be two inputs, right? Not the output. Now we are giving examples for consumers. Output, DVD player and the DVD. Agree. But how about the producer? Perfect complements to producer. I told you, labor and capital could be perfect substitute for labor. So for the producer, if there is a machine who can do the same work as the labor, so you can perfectly substitute. How about perfect complements for the producer? You think about the age. There's a pain. Thinking like this. You need both of them to be included as a production unit. So cash is a pain. That is not equal to a pain. If you think about finance, yes, money is something there, but we do not use it to the production process. That's the pain. Understood? How about two input that you mix together to produce a example? Knowledge and
Orange and water.
orange and water. Okay. But again, both of those two, like orange and water, both are kind of materials, right? So it's a mix. Can you think of an example where labor and capital act as complements? Knowledge and human and there's a more of them coming from labor side. No? Who was capital?
Orange and train.
Think about the product. Product maybe for car. To make one car, maybe we need a certain machine. One machine. Let's think that any technical process to simplify, let's think to make or to attach the four wheels in the car, we need one machine, one specific machine, which cannot be done by human. A machine can do labor setting have to set up bank in the production. Okay, so we need the one machine. And also together we need two humans also to operate the machine. A chemical inspection and the machine operate. Otherwise, we cannot complete that process. Understood? If that's the case, are those complementary? Two labor plus one machine. We produce one car. Is it complementary? Yes or no? Yes, right? Then අපි හිතමු machine එක තියෙනවා එක label. Can we produce? No. Now let's say we have two human but no machine. Can we produce? So both the machine, which is the capital and the label two, need together to produce the product. If that's the case, they are perfect components. No substitution available. එක්කෙනෙක් අඩු කරන machine එක වැඩි කරන්න බෑ. Machine එක අඩු කරන මිනිස්සු වැඩි කරන්න හදන්නත් බෑ. Substitution is not available. If that's the case, we say the shape of the isopont is L shape. So the quantity here to produce 1 cup, we need 2 labors and 1 machine. Okay. So the production happens here. It doesn't matter how many capital we increase of machine power, keeping the labor constant. We are here at the same level of output. Understood? Similarly, if we want to double the car, if we want to produce 2 cars, we need 2 machines and 4 people. So always we are staying at the 4. Understood? So for the perfect complements, the shape of the isopont is L shape. Right? Okay. So now you know the different shapes of isopont as well. Okay, now we are going to learn how to calculate the slope of the isopont. This would be very interesting to say because I got the point that we do not know nothing about the partial differentiation. Is it? Like if I ask you to differentiate this function, can you do it? Differentiation beginning in the polyhedral. Don't say no, I will call to the coordinator and ask that. You have learned maths, right? Maths. So have you learned differentiation? Yes or no? Yes. So have you learned partial differentiation when there are 2 unknown variables? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. You are supposed to know it. Okay? Right. Now we are going to talk about the slope. Marginal rate of technical substitution. I'm going to tell you how the derivation or the equation comes. Like the formula that delta y equals delta y divided by delta x වගේ ගන්න. ඒක කොහොමද ගන්න කියලා තමයි අපි දැන් අහන්නේ. Right. Now, here, if we want to make a change in the quantity, now we are in the short run or long run. We are in long run. We can change both capital and little. So either we can change capital or we can change label. As we know, if we are to make a change in the quantity, we have to change the capital and label. Delta K and delta K. Okay. If I change capital or increase capital by 1 unit, how much additional production is given to the total production is given by what? Hey, looking at the total production to MP, capital MP, K, marginal product, right? So how much change would happen in the total product is given by marginal product of the capital. So here MPK into delta K. And if we are changing label, NPL into delta L. Understood? So we change the capital and label. That change will generate the addition to the total production. So to get this change, we have to multiply this by the NPK, this by the NPL. Agree? Okay. Now, what is the key feature of the isoquant? Isoquant is the key feature of throughout the isoquant. The quantity stay the same. Does not change me. Isoquant again, cover quantity, the different input combinations. Understood? So the quantity does not change. So here delta Q on an isoquant should be equal to Q and delta Q should be equal to Q delta Q equals to 0, right? Are you confused with the lecture? Okay, I don't understand. Good thing and after lunch or before lunch also the same. Let me know. Do you want me to slow down a bit? Yes? No. Do you want me to speed up a bit? No. The pace is manageable. You say? Okay. So what's the problem here? Here it has no. Huh? Are you looking forward? Yeah. Can you understand? Okay. So then tell me. If we draw our isoquant here, label and capital, this is our isoquant. No matter if we change the input combination, quantity is going to be fixed. So along the isoquant, delta Q is same. Okay. So you understand this delta Q is 0. Okay. Now, I want to find an expression to slope, MRQs. Here, slope equals to, here, no? We have a delta K divided by delta L. Slope here. That you understand, right? So I'm asking you, I want you to simplify this formula. Find delta K divided by delta L equals to something. And මෙතන බිඳුව දාගත්තම simplify කරගෙන යන්න තියෙනවා. Do it by yourself in your expression එකක් ගන්න. Delta K divided by delta L equals to what? Simplify කරලා ගන්න. No, I did. Yeah, yeah, which NPK means your delta K, plus NPK means delta K. Just use this. It's not. Yeah, this thing, it's special. You have to see this like this. And there is some multiplies. And you are multiplies and multiply together. So can you all mark the attendance for the second session? Okay, have you all marked?
Translate Oh, මේ ඔයාලා මගේ සෙට් එක නැතුව ඉතින් ටික තමයි සෙලෙක්ට් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ලෝ එකෙන් අර සෙලෙක්ට් කරගන්න. එතකොට ඒක ලෝයර් කෙනෙක් කෙනෙක් මට දැන් විදිහට දෙකම එකයි. එකම තමයි සෙන්නම එලික වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. මෙහෙම දැකලා මනසක් කොහොමද ඊට අමතරව මම අපි ලෙවල් කාලේ කම්පස් ස්පොන්සර් ඉන්න දාන්න. ස්පොන්සර් නම් ඉන්නේ මේකට ගැරන්ටි ෆෝම් එකක් තියෙනවා. මේකට මම සර්විස් අම්බුලා අනේ චුටි කියනවා මට ඔව් මට ඒක චුටි දෙක තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි ඉමෝටි කියලා තමයි හරියට උකට කම්පැනි පළවෙනි විතර. එන්නේ ජොන් චුටි කවුල් කරනවා. ඒක තමයි මම අර විචාරණ කරන ක්‍රියාව කියලා. ඒකෙන් මේක ඔයා කොහොම නමුත් දැන් දෙකට විතර අර පැත්තට යන්නකෝ දෙන්න ගන්නට.
Okay. Did you all able to mark the attendance? Yes. If not, let me know. I can manually mark. Okay. So did you able to simplify this? Yes. So what are we going to do? Now, since this side is 0, we can take this entire expression to the right side, or left side, whatever side, with the other side. No? Since this is positive, if we take this expression to the other side, it becomes negative. So here, negative NPK into delta K equals NPL into delta L. What do we need the expression? We need the delta K divided by delta L. So we divide both sides by delta L. Then this delta L to this delta L get cancelled out. So we have minus MPK into delta K divided by delta L equals MPL. So we want to cancel this MPK. So we divide it by minus MPK, the both sides. So if we divide it by minus MPK, this get cancelled out. We have minus MPK this side. So delta K divided by delta L equals minus MPL divided by MPK. Understood? Right. So this is the equation for the slope of isocon. So we say MRP. So the marginal rate of technical substitution equals to MPL divided by MPK. Why it is negative? Because we learned since the two products, two inputs are imperfect substitutes, we have to substitute or we have to trade off between these two. So it is diminishing. Understood? So that's why it's negative. Okay. So that part is there. How did we do that? And here also the same story. I explained you again. I will explain you again, but we already discussed. If we look at point C, how many units of K are we using to produce this quantity? At point C, 6 units of K with 1 unit of labor. So now, how many or the between the two input, which one has the more input? Labor or capital? 1 labor and 6 capital. That means we have plenty of capital available. So what do? In order to go to B, we are ready to sacrifice more capital, right? So to go to C with 3 capital and 2 labor, to increase the labor by 1 unit, here we are ready to sacrifice 3 units of capital. Understood? If the labor can වැඩි කරගන්න capital 3ක් sacrifice කරන්න කැමති issue. But here, if we want to move to A from B, we are ready to sacrifice now only sorry, 1 unit of capital to get 2 more units of labor. So when our input becomes scarce, we are ready to sacrifice less. If we have it more, we are ready to sacrifice more. Understood? So we have diminishing MRPS. The slope is diminishing. Then I told you, we have to always compare the benefit with the cost. Now we know benefit is given by the quantity. The quantity multiplied by the price. So we get the total revenue, that is the revenue. Then we have to compare the cost also. So for the isocon cost, we have to compare the cost. So the cost curve is isocost curve. That means what? Now, if you understand the isocon correctly, you can understand the isocont also. What is isocont again? What is isocont again? Same output, different combination of input. Then isocost is same cost, different combination of input. That means even at a constant cost, what are the combination you can use labor and capital? Maybe you can, like the cost is 100, a 100 costing input per maybe you can occupy 2 labors and 1 machine. Maybe 2 machine and 1 labor. Likewise, different combination, but same cost. So we have to know isocont, then the cost comes from isocost. So now we are going to learn isocost curve. So I have a question. How many inputs are there for us? Inputs here in the long run? 2. labor and capital. So if I tell you, now you already know the cost of the labor. What is the cost of the labor? Wage. What is the cost of capital? The machine cost. Rent. Is it? Okay. If the total cost is given by C and labor is there, capital is there, can you come up with an expression to express the total cost? What will the total cost depend on? What is the price of the labor? Wage. So, wage into labor, we get total labor cost. For that, if the rent is given by R into K given by it gives the capital cost. So the labor cost plus the capital cost, we get the total cost. Okay, now you understand. Now we have to get this with respect to a functional form. Okay, because now we want to draw it. The ISO cost also we want to draw. This is labor, this is capital. Now you can see the capital is on y-axis. So my question for you to do by yourself. Now please write this expression with respect to K. K of the equation. I K of the because we have K on the y-axis. Normally, y equals a plus bx. Straight line equation y වලට තියෙන එක නා උත්තර කරලා ලියා ගන්න. Okay. Okay. It's simple. So you want to isolate K. So R into K equals C minus W into N. So we divide everything by R. So we get K equals C divided by R minus W divided by R into L. So we say this is the functional form of the ISO cost. Okay, so this is the intercept C divided by R and this is the slope W divided by R. So the slope of the isocost, there is a name for that. The slope of the isocost is W divided by R, which is also negative. Okay. Now if we draw it, it's a straight line, something like this. Okay. Now I have an exercise for you. Let's assume the total cost is 4,000. The wage rate is 200. The capital rent is 400. Now please draw the isocost for this given data. Isocost I want you to name or mark the values for these two intercepts. Okay. This is very easy. Usually in my university, my students cannot answer this. I'm like telling them, okay, no matter now you are staying in my class, you cannot answer this, right? It's that much simpler. Why are making it like very difficult? So what is this point put up here? 0, origin. So what does this mean here at this point? You have 0 labor and some amount of capital. That means what? You are spending your entire cost for capital, not for labor. එහෙනම් ඒ point එකේ තියෙන්නේ කවුද? C divided by R, right? මුළු cost එකම you are spending on capital. So the price of capital is R. So 4,000 divided by 400, how much? 10 units. So if you spend the entire cost on capital, it can be hard salary, capital hard the higher this side intercept is given by cost divided by wage rate. You are not taking any capital but only buying labor. So that means your entire cost is allocated for labor. So the cost divided by the price of the labor, which is the wage rate. So 4,000 divided by 200, you get 20. This is your ISO cost curve. So how do we find the ISO cost? These two intercept, C divided by R, C divided by W. Understood? So what is this slope? We have a name for the slope. We say the slope of the ISO cost is, there's the name. Okay, before talking about the slope, now we are going to talk about how this ISO cost curve can be shifted or rotated. Okay, now have you all know this? 10, $20 ISO cost curve. Okay, now the second scenario. Now this is first scenario. The second scenario is now your cost increases to 8,000. Please draw your ISO cost curve. First draw the original one, then draw the new one. Originally cancel අලුත් diagram එකක new එක අඳින්න the cost changes to 8,000. Keeping W 200 and rent 400. Then the third scenario, cost is same 4,000. W increases to 400. Keeping rent as it is. Fourth scenario, cost is same 4,000. W reduces to 100. Rent is same 100. So you have to draw 3 separate ISO original එක අඳිනවා වලින් differences Okay. Okay, the first scenario. Now the cost has been doubled, 4,000 to 8,000. So if we draw the new isocost, what is it? The curve goes downward or upward shift. Downward or upward shift. Huh? Upward shift. So what are the two values over here? 20 and 40. So you can see if the cost changes, It's always a shift in the isoform. Understood? It's always a shift. If the cost increases, upward shift. If the cost decreases, outward shift, downward shift. Right. Then how about the second scenario? Sorry, third. Now the original cost is there, but the wage rate has been increased. So now what happened to the new ISO cost? Is it a shift or a rotation? Shift or rotation? Rotation from the bio x-axis. X-axis. Inward or outward rotation? Inward rotation. So the new ISO cost is here. Here it's 10 now. Right? So you can see if the price increases from the axis where the price change happened, it is rotated inward. Right? So how about the other scenario? Fourth scenario. Now what has happened? The price of labor has decreased. Then if we draw the new ISO cost, it goes like this. What is the value here? 40. So if the price decreases, it's an outward rotation. So you understand how the ISO cost curve can be different. Okay? Here, all these things we discussed. Rotation and shift. Finally, we have to talk. Okay, now we know ISO cost. And also I forgot to mention what is meant by the slope of the ISO cost. So the slope of the ISO cost is W divided by R. What does it mean? The slope of the ISO cost means simply the trade-off between capital and labor, right? So how much you can substitute capital for labor, holding the cost constant. So the trade-off between labor and capital given by the slope of the ISO cost. Now we have to check how the producer comes to the equilibrium, right? So we learned if it's in the short run, how the producer would decide the optimal use of labor. We learned what is the condition? Marginal revenue product should be equal to marginal resource cost. So that is in the short run when on the labor is the only variable. Okay. So now we have to check how the producer comes to the equilibrium when it is the long run. Okay. Now we have isocont and isocost. Isocont gives you how are you going to maximize the quantity output. Isocost gives you what is the cost for you. Understood? So you have to, as a rational producer, you have to balance between the cost and the quantity. So, as a producer, do you like to maximize the quantity or minimize the quantity? Maximize or minimize? Quantity එක producer එක අපි වැඩි කරන්නද අඩු කරන්නද quantity? Increase or decrease? To increase. So, as a national producer, you would like to maximize the output. But can you maximize the output indefinitely? No. You have to maximize the output subject to your cost. Okay? So, given the budget constraint entails finding the isocont that is further away from the origin, meeting the budget constraint. So that means depending on your cost or your budget, you are going to go for the highest isocont. Never the isocon becoming higher level of output. So the objective of the producer is to maximize the output based on or limited to your budget. Or else we can say they try to always minimize the cost. ISO cost minimum version. If we have different ISO cost, which one gives you the minimum cost? Closer to the origin or further from the origin? Closer to the origin. So here, the producer going to either minimize the cost while maximizing output or maximizing the output while minimizing the cost. So those are the two objectives of a producer. Understood? So take the water break, the end of the water break, and take 2 minutes. Galle, the question. Okay. So we say the equilibrium for the producer is where your cost, ISO cost is tangent to the ISO quantum. Understood? So this is where the equilibrium happens. So when two curves are tangent, at the tangent point we say the slopes are equal. So what is the slope of the isocont? Marginal. So what is the slope name? Marginal rate of MRPS, technical substitution. Can you please say it again? Marginal rate of technical substitution, MRP. What is the slope of the ISO cost? W divided by R. W over R, right? So these two are equal. MRPS is equal to the W divided by R when the isocont is tangent to the isocost. Understood? So that is where the equilibrium happens. Can you please draw that figure book? Okay. Now we are going to check. Now I told you producers either want to maximize the output subject to their cost, or either they want to minimize the cost subject to the output. ඒකෙන් කරන්නේ එක්ක output එක maximize කරනවා cost එක subject කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් cost එක minimize කරනවා output limitation එකට subject. So either way they are going to either way they are their objective, right? So here we are going to check those two objectives using this diagram. First, cost minimization. Now, here we have three levels of ISO cost. Okay? C1, sorry, C0, C1 and C2. Which one gives you the lowest cost? Which one gives you the lowest cost? C0, the C1, the C2. C0, closest to the origin, gives you the lowest cost. So as a rational consumer, at what ISO cost would you like to stay? Rational producer getting what a cost again? C0. However, they want to minimize the cost subject to the output. Okay, යාලට ඕන output එක හදන ගමන් තමයි cost එක minimize කරන්නේ. Understood? So to do that, they have to look for the isoquant as well. So if we consider both minimizing cost subject to the ISO cost, which ISO cost would you like to stay on? C0, C1 or C2? C1, right? Because you can see on C1, you are reaching the expected quantity. Do you like to go to C2? No. C2 giyata cost එක වැඩි. So you like to minimize the cost subject to your quantity constraint. So at point A is where you come to the equilibrium while minimizing the cost. maintaining the required output. Understood? So draw this also. Make a time. Okay. Right. So the first objective or one objective you know now. Minimizing the cost while maximizing or subject to your output requirement. The second one is if we look at the same objective with a different perspective, output maximization subject to your cost. Here if we look at this diagram, forget about the cost. Which isoform would you prefer as a rational producer? On isoform can be as a rational producer. Which one? Q1 or Q2 or Q3? Q3, right? So because farther from the origin gives you the highest quantity. But did the cost allow you to go to Q3? No, your cost is not enough to produce that much level of quantity. So you have to be there at which isoquant? Q2 also. So you understand how to maximize the output subject to the cost as well. Please draw that also. Okay. So now we are going to discuss a new concept called reduction expansion part. That means now we are going to look how these individual firms would expand their business in the long run. Okay. So we are starting with point A. Right? So we have Q1. Let's say Q1 is 100 units. 100 units of production subject to this isocost first curve. Having 50 labors and 25 capital, we are producing 100 units. So we come to the equilibrium at point A. This is where operate. Now what happened? We want to expand our business. Then what are we going to do? We want to go to a higher production. If we want to go to a higher production, we have to increase the cost as well. The input value. So to increase the input, we are reaching to the new ISO cost here with 50 capital and 100 labor reaching to the new equilibrium at point B. Likewise, we again go to a 300 units of output. We increase the 75 and 150 of input and we reach to the new ISO content ISO cost. Okay. So if we combine all these equilibriums A and B and C, that part is given by the production expansion part. How do you expand your business? By increasing the input, increasing the cost, and also reaching to a higher level of ISO funds. Understood? Okay, please draw this also. If you are finished, before going to the last concept, I want you to do this by yourself. Write this down, do the calculation, and find the optimal use of length. Okay. Okay. So what's the answer? At 6. Okay. Any volunteer to fill these 2 columns? Any? So can you try the other and be able to any other one? What? How about that changes? Leave it up. Did you get this? Yes. So our cost is W is 80, right? So this is where it equals to 80. MRP equals to wage rate when the labor is 6. Okay. Now the second example. I forgot to do this calculation. This you are given the production function. You are supposed to find MPL, MPK, and MRP. Okay. There is no link between the other one and this one. Huh? Only a link question. Very good. It's a support from ChatGPT. I don't apply ChatGPT. Oh, okay. But I will take some differentiation. I request and ask them to. I always encourage my students to use AI cautiously. But it's actually that. So do you know this is like some extra information which is not relevant to this subject, but for your like general knowledge. When you're asking something from AI, you have to be very specific because that's not a human. They cannot understand. Right? So your prompt or the chat you mentioned, your requirement has to be very specific. Okay? So you have to give the question correctly, you have to specify the steps correctly, and you have to mention here your background as well. You have to lay a prompt, it must be craft. CRAFT. There should be a C, context. Context is you are a student learning this subject in this degree program. That is the context, okay? Then the role. What is your role? I have to specify from the point of view of a lecturer in the answer. Then he will like customize as a lecturer how I should explain. Now your role is student from the point of view of a student role. Then A is academic. And T is on the tone. Which tone? Academic tone, casual tone, what tone you expect from your answer? A and B. So anyway, your tone has to be perfect. If you are to get the correct answer from the statute. Otherwise, you are like he will leniently take the question and maybe provide you a wrong answer. And also, if you really cannot like remember the basic rules of differentiation, then you can ask ChatGPT. But rules are applicable here for this equation. And how to do the differentiation? So this is the easiest form of differentiation. Understood? So this is your reduction function. It equals 2L plus 3K. Okay. Then you are asked to find the NPL, NPK and MRPs. First, if you want to find NPL, what do you have to do? You have to differentiate the Q with respect to L. Understood? So this equation says we have both L and K. You have to differentiate the equation with respect to L. So we are using the sign double. Why? Because this is partial differentiation. 2 unknowns, L and K. So your Q should be differentiated with respect to L. Okay. So how are we going to do that? Now here 2L plus 3K. It's with the plus. Now we have to check which terms have the L. The terms with respect to L differentiate. So here we have L. Here we do not have L. L natta. And I'm telling you L natta. What are we going to do? That whole term becomes 0. L nothing is not. With respect to L, K differentiate this becomes 0. So this is the only term you have L. So 2L we have to differentiate with respect to L. Okay, the rule is always n minus 1 L to the power n minus 1 kilogram. No, I'm not going to teach you maths. Anyway, what are you going to do? ඔයාට මේ තියෙන n එකේ power එක බලන්න. මොකක්ද power එක? 1. So the rule is always n minus 1 n rule. If the power is 1, 1 minus 1, L to the power 0. So any value to the power 0 gives you 1, right? So 2 to 1, answer is 2. This part, since there is no term, let's cancel it. So if you differentiate this expression with respect to L, the answer is 2. Now tell me what is the answer for NPK? It is 3. Now how do we find MRTS? MRTS equal minus NPL divided by NPK, right? NPL divided by NPK. So it's 2 divided by 3. Understood? Simplify and take the reciprocity. So that is your slope. Now I have a question. Before I will give you the time to write down. Tell me, by looking at the slope, tell me something about the shape of the isopontic. මේ isopontics five වගේ හරියට what's the value? It's value the constant. We do not have locators in the slope. It's a value. Is it going to be changed depending on your N and K value? N and K නැති නිසා ඕනම තැනක එකම value එකක් දෙනවා. Then what should be the idea you give? If the slope is a constant, that means along the curve, slope does not change. Slope is always the same. Then you should get the idea. Then this should be a straight line. And also, since the sign is negative, if you draw this, you can see, no, it's a straight line. The equation for a straight line. This should be a curve like this. If the shape of the isopontic is like this, what is the relationship between L and K? මොකද nature? They are perfect. They differentiates. They are perfect substitutes, right? They are perfect substitutes. So if you get a value, a constant for the slope, that means it does not change along the curve. Slope value is same. So it's a straight line. Downward slope in straight line means L and K should be perfect substitute in this case. Understood? Okay, write down now. Do these two new equations These are top-downless reduction functions. Okay. So you have to find HBL, MPK, and MRTS if the L and K are 5. Okay. So if you do not remember the differentiation rules, ask ChatGPT. What are the differentiation rules? Huh? So simply here you have to remember, if you have a expression like this, x to the power n, if you differentiate, this becomes n x n minus 1. මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි ඒක differentiate. Okay. x to the power n තියෙනවා n ඉස්සරහට ගන්නවා x to the power n minus 1. Okay. Use that knowledge. But remember, here L and K are multiplication, not a plus. එතකොට K part අමතක කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? එහෙමම කියනවාද? You have to be cautious. Okay, now take your time and do it. Okay. You have to think very carefully. Okay. Okay? No? Confused? Shall I do the first one for you? Then you can follow the same part for the second. Okay? Now here, first to take MPL, we have to differentiate Q with respect to L. Now which part do we have L? Here, L to the power 0.5. What is the rule? If x to the power n, if we want to differentiate with respect dx over dx, then n x to the power n minus 1. Understood? So let's do the same here. For the n. Now, the power we have to take to the front. So 0.5 to the power L, n minus 1. 0.5 minus 1 means minus 0.5. How about this K? There's no L term. But can we say 0? Like here, like we did in the simple equation, plus 3K we can put 0? No. It's a multiplication. So here, we are keeping it as it is. එයාට මොනවද කරන්න නැහැ. එයාව එහෙමම තියෙනවා. K to the power 0.5 because we cannot differentiate. But we cannot cancel it out because it's a multiplication. Understood? So this is MPL. The same thing we can rewrite. මෙයා මෙතන මේ negative තියෙන නිසා same thing we can rewrite 0.5 K to the 0.5 divided by L to the 0.5 කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. May negative power එක, if we take it as a denominator, it becomes positive. Understood? Okay. Now, following the same approach, can you tell me what is MPK? මොකක්ද MPK එකට? Now, we keep L as it is. K will differentiate it. මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? We take the power of the K to the front, 0.5. Keep L as it is. Now K minus 0.5. Simple, no? So same thing we can rewrite like this. Okay. Now to find the MRTS, we have to divide MPL by MPK. So what is our MPL? Here, 0.5 L to the power minus 0.5 K to the power 0.5 divided by 0.5 L to the power 0.5 K to the power minus 0.5. And make the division. So this 0.5 we can cancel it out. Now I'm taking this to this side here. Now here L minus 0.5 to the k 0.05 divided by L 0.5 k minus 0.5. The same thing I can rewrite L ke minus නැති වෙන විදිහට මම ලියාගත්තොත් k මෙයාව බෙදන්න ඕනේ understood? Okay, now just simplify. Then we division දෙකක් divide කරන්න තියෙනවා. divide ඒකනේ කියන්නේ. So what is the rule here? If we divide two divisions, we can multiply and do the reciprocal. No? No? Now what happens? How do you simplify? Power same base, power to power multiplication means we can add those two powers. 0.5 into 0.5 या एक तरह तो 0.5 बैठना होगा कितने 1 so k to the power 1 means k similarly here also l 0.5 to l 0.5 l to the power 1 that means l so it's k divided by 2 understood. So that is the multiples. Now tell me, is it a constant? K divided by L, is it a constant? Then K divided by L if you want. That's having equation में क्या होगा 2 divided plus 3k. एक divided by 2 divided by 3k. That is the sum. Is it the same? No. This is not a constant. This is a no. From K and L. So depending on the K and L values, this value is going to be changed. Then අපි මම පහයි කියලා ගන්න කියලා නේද? K and L පහයි කියලා ගත්තොත් the value is 1. 5 divided by 5. If K is 2 and L is 3, 2 divided by 3. Likewise, the value changes. Understood? So the slope changes. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයා diminishing MRPS එකක් තියෙනවා. Ordinary convex to the origin like that. But the constant length. Understood? Okay. Now following the same approach, you can do the question for the other one. Then Q equals L to the power 0.7, K to the power 0.3, and then follow the same way. Just write carefully all the steps for the part 2, then do the part 3. What did they actually x to the power n here and n. You can l to the power 0.5 here. They are parameter x to the power n again x can general rule then x and n එතකොට මොකක් හරි x term එකක් ගොඩන්න term එකක් power එකක් විදිහට තියෙනවා. කොහොමද differentiate කරන්නේ? එතකොට අපි කරන්නේ අපි power එක ඉස්සරහට තියනවා. n කියනවා ඉස්සරහට. x එහෙමම තියනවා. එයා කියන power එකෙන් n minus 1 කරනවා. එහෙනම් l to the power 0.5 කියන එක සිනියරේ 0.5 ඉස්සරහට ගන්නවා. L to the power 0.5 and you can not rule with x and n. Yeah, are you confused with this one? Maybe x to the power n L 0.5 follow the same approach, no? X to the power n. Now, power n. So, how do we differentiate? We have to take the power first to the front. N is 0.5, 0.5. L 0.5, n minus 1. මෙයාගෙනික අඩු කරනවා. එතකොට 0.5 L minus 0.5. And මේ power එක තමයි apply කරන්නේ. ඒ rule power rule. Since the K term is a multiplication, we keep it as it is. Okay? Not yet? දැනුත් බෑ නම් ඉතින් ටොක්ක්ක් යන ගන්න ඕනේ හයි. Okay? Can you tell me the final answer? For this one, what is the final answer? Okay, don't substitute, just give me the like equation form. 0 point. Is this? Yes. Okay, so you substitute the K and L value and you get an answer. Again, this is also a diminishing MRTS, no? Because it's not a constant. Depending on the L and K value, the value is going to be decreased. Okay? Right. With that, we can come to the final part of the lecture, which is the ridge lines. So you have to be very careful in listening this one because this is kind of tricky. Okay? Okay, now look at the bottom. Now listen carefully. Okay? Here. Now this is the normal shape of the isoquant, right? So this isoquant, in this isoquant, we can identify 3 specific regions. So we are going to identify the 3 regions and thereby we are going to identify which region a rational producer should operate. Okay? Now first, if I take a point like here, and මේ වගේ ටිකක් ගන්න. here, this area. What is your observation? මොකක්ද observation එක මේ හරිය? What happens to L and K? This is K. How about L? L is constant. L is increasing, but K is constant. Okay. Now here, at this area, we know no matter at any point, the quantity is the same. No change. So in this first region here, what happened? There is no change in the quantity. Quantity is fixed. But we keep increasing L, keeping capital fixed. L එක අපි වැඩි කරනවා, K එක තියෙන එකම ගාන, Q එකම ගාන. Normally, if we increase the input, keeping one input constant, we increase the other input. What do we expect? අපි දැන් capital fix තියාගෙන L වැඩි කරගෙන යනකොට normally what do we expect? Q to increase that. අපි හිතනවා some point at Q වැඩි වෙනවා. But here you can see there is no change to Q. Q is fixed. Then what do you think? What could be the reason? Then K fixed තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා කියන්නේ NPK වල කොහොමද වෙනසක්? දැන් K වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ NPK 0. But L වැඩි කරනවා Q වැඩි වෙන්නේ. What could be the reason? Any idea what L now? NPL should be equal to what here? මොකද වෙන්නේ? Then K වල වෙනසක් නැහැ. But we increase the L. We keep increasing L, but there is no difference in Q. That means the additional labor we are recruiting does not result any additional product. That means what? Our NPL is 0. Our NPL is 0. Okay. Now we are going to understand another region. Somewhere here. This part. What happened to labor and capital here at this region? Here to here? What happened? Second. Q is fixed. එකම අල්සපොන් කියන Q වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. But we are increasing both labor and capital. But the quantity is fixed. That means what? L වැඩි කරා L K දෙන්නම වැඩි කරනකොට ideally the quantity should be increased now. But the Q does not change. That means what has happened? NPL is negative, right? Are vertical labors production article, maybe disputes. Non-doing. No production at all. So NPL is negative. We are not talking about NPK. Okay. So here we can understand NPL is negative. Okay. Then we are coming to the third region. Here, this part. And the main part. This part. Up to here, main part. What happened? What happened? If we want to increase labor, we have to decrease capital. So there is a trade. So in the third part, Q is fixed, but we are increasing labor, decreasing capital. There is a trade. But the quantity does not change. Ideally, if we reduce one input, what do we expect? Now we cake machine oven what do we expect? The production to decrease, but production constant. What could be the reason? Even though we reduce the capital, the increase in labor produced additional output. So the NPL is positive. Okay. Now we understood three different regions in the same answer part, where NPL is negative, NPL is zero, NPL is positive. Okay. Now do the same thing, draw this in your book and identify the same regions for K. MP, K වලට A regions තුනම identify කරගන්න by yourself. Okay. Okay, so if you successfully understood or identified the same regions with respect to K, the same story, right? There are three regions where NPK is negative, NPK is positive, and you might understand this is the region where NPK is also positive. Then, as a rational consumer, producer, always you would like to operate where NPL and NPK both are positive. So you can understand that happens in the only region where a trade-off happens. මේ downward sloping part එකේ විතරයි ඒක වෙන්නේ. That means we do a trade-off but keeping the quantity constant. Quantity එක constant එකක් තියාගෙන input trade-off කරනවා කියන්නේ MPL and MPK yielding positive additional production. So in this region, we say MPL and MPK both are positive. But here, MPK is negative. Here, MPK is zero. Understood? So as a rational producer, they tend to stay in the region where NPK and MPL are positive. Understood? So accordingly, within the isopont, we draw some lines which call ridge lines. We connect the ridge lines where MPL and MPK become zero. So we can draw another isopont, understand or identify the same regions. Then where MPL are zero, we connect those 2 points. Then draw the lower ridge line. And here We connect empirical 0, 2 instances, connect them, then draw the upper ridge line. Understood? So connecting these two, we create upper ridge line and lower ridge line. Inside this region is the economic region where we would like to process. Now please draw 3 sets of isopods. Make it Please draw 3 isopods and identify the economic region. The upper and lower ridge lines in the economic region identify them. Can you do it?
Oh. Translation kita ada. Tetap kita. Oh, हाँ, हम मानने लगे तो फेमिनिन की तरफ और सर्टिफिकेट कुछ है ना मैं मांग जाने वाला नहीं था
Okay? Okay, just to sum up what we have discussed so far. So we started with producers. How do they function in short run and long run? In the short run, how they decide the optimal use of labor, and how in the long run they decide the equilibrium, right? So we learned two types of cost, isocont and isocost. They are slopes, and we learn at equilibrium. Those two slopes are equal. Then we learn, depending on the region in the isocont, we can identify which area is economically profitable for the producer function. Understood? Okay, so that's all for today. I know it would be very hectic to learn economics from 8 to 3. So I will wind up 10 minutes early, considering the break. Okay. So next week we will continue the discussion. Maybe we can start the discussion on cost and then go to the market structures. Okay. So for, about your continuous assignment, I think the allocation is 50-50, for the paper 50 and for the assignment 50. So what do you prefer? In the course outline, it specifies several components, but probably for sure, I will give you a quiz in between. Okay, the attendance is compulsory. Maybe for the quiz, I will count the marks 30 perhaps or 20. Okay, so I will like notify you by and then like the component, how much I'm going to rate. And what do you prefer? Do you like to do two other individual assignments or one individual and group assignment? Individual assignment. What do you prefer? Group assignment. Okay. So maybe then I will give you one group assignment and another presentation. A presentation based on the group assignment. Okay. So there will be a total mark for the group report and would be some individual component based on your individual presentations. Okay. So probably we would schedule it maybe around mid-October. I will let you know. Okay. So all the details and the assignment guidelines I will let you know probably during the next week that I will sum up. So we will have a quiz, we will have a group assignment, and we will have a group presentation. But for the presentation, individual evaluation will be there. Assignment understood? So maybe I will ask you to do some analysis for production firm. Select and this is the I will give you the instructions, and I think if I give you the instruction by next week, you have plenty of time to present it by the beginning of 20. Okay? And I will give you the timeline at what time we are planning to give you the quiz as well. Okay? For the quiz maybe end of October. Okay? I will let you know. That's all for today. Do you have any grievances apart from these long hours? Regarding the speed of the lecture and the content, and I will update the lecture slides and upload it in the lecture as well. Okay? Do you have any other issue? If you, please let me know at the beginning. Okay? Because otherwise I'm going to continue the same structure, my teaching style. So don't wait until the last moment to come up with the complaints. I can't understand anything you learn, your teaching, right? So if you have any issue, my email is there in the link as well. You can let me know. Speed me, don't deliver your email. Okay? Understood? Anyway, I think I'm supposed to take evaluation or feedback maybe next week. Okay? So that's all for today. Thank you.
Then that is not
But anyway, you are absent for the first session. I will mark the attendance for the second session. Okay?
yesterday again, say Sri Lanka exam. I mean,
But still, I cannot mark you present if you are absent. If any issue there for your present or absent or any mark, then you can inform. You are absent, valid reason. Then.